Welcome. Beautiful. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about 7 toxic spiritual beliefs. And I think this topic is extremely important, and it's something that I've been wanting to share for a long time and that I was guided by Spirit to bring forth. And I just want to start off by saying that when I'm presenting today, I'm doing my very, very best to present in a way that comes from unity consciousness, that comes from a place of love, and that comes from my heart. And I'm going to do my best to do that, because also these topics can get me a little bit fired up as well. And as I'm sharing different experiences, different energies might come through. But at the end of the day, my ultimate goal is to bring more light to these topics and to help you feel more peaceful in your life, to feel more connected to those around you, and also to have more love and compassion and self-love for yourself as well. This is super, super, super important. So also what I'm going to be sharing, these are my views, and I have one path of spirituality that's my own kind of creation that I've created for myself. And I really want to say that I honor and respect your choice as well. So that's one thing I want to share, that these are my views. And as you listen, I would love for you to take what resonates and leave behind what doesn't feel good for you. So feel free to do that as I talk. And I also want to share too that my path is a very feminine path to spirituality. And I'm very much about feeling and being embodied and going deep into the depths to come out and rise up again. So this is something I'm really passionate about. And there are various different paths to spirituality. And I think it's important that whatever works for you at the end of the day, as long as it feels good and it's empowering and it's helping you live a better life than you would without that path, then that's great and wonderful and beautiful. And if you're joining me live, please feel free to say hello and comment where you're joining from. I can't see who's here, so it would be nice to know. And we're going to dive in just a moment into the 7 toxic spiritual beliefs. So before I move forward, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Sarah, and I'm an intuitive healer. I'm a spiritual teacher and a channel. And I love so much to help people feel empowered to really connect with your purpose and to live that, to shine your light, to glow, to be more of yourself in this world. And I think more than ever, that is what's important during these times, is for us to keep growing, keep expanding, and keep being more of ourselves. So this is something I'm really passionate about. And with that said, I want to dive into the list now. So I actually wrote them down by hand. I usually always channel everything directly into the computer, but yet the other day I was like, oh, everything was coming through so much by hand. All right, let's do it. So the number one toxic belief in spirituality, and I just want to share too that through this list, I mean kind of like new agey spiritual communities where there's not really necessarily one path, but where like many people are coming together from different paths and hanging out at events and spiritual experiences. So it's more like new agey. That's what I mean. So the number one toxic belief: you have to do it all alone. Have you ever thought this to yourself? Oh, I have to do it all by myself. This can be actually a very toxic masculine way of thinking. The masculine loves to be independent, but we all need to have a bit of balance inside of us. And so the balance with that is, no, you're not meant to do it all alone. Maybe a large percentage of your inner work you're meant to do on your own, but there's a percentage also that you're meant to do with others. One of my very wise friends, who's also a healer, once said to me, so many of our wounds come from relationships. And so the only way we can heal them is in relationship with others. And I was like, wow, that's huge. And it's really important to know that you're not meant to do it all alone. And sometimes we can suffer so much in silence by ourselves when all we need to do is reach out to somebody and say, hey, I'm not feeling good right now. And maybe just receiving that little bit of extra love from the outside can bring so much healing. And with that said, on the other side, there are times when we need to do it alone, because maybe we've been too codependent with others our whole lives and we're always looking outside for validation, when the only thing that we can do to heal that particular aspect of ourselves is to do it alone. But in general, it's not a black and white. And that statement, you have to do it all on your own, is very black and white. So that's number one. That's the number one. They're not in order per se, but number one of my list of 7 toxic spiritual beliefs. Number two is that that nothing should ever trigger you. It's this expectation that I've heard from so many people about not getting impacted or not getting affected by anything. And I think that puts way too high of expectations on us, like way too high. It's like we need to transcend everything. And I think one of the common threads that I'm going to be sharing today through this talk is we are human. So how much more can we accept our humanity and this human experience with all of our emotions? And so when we have this belief nothing should ever trigger us, when we do get triggered or emotionally like upset or impacted, we can get hard on ourselves. Like, why am I feeling this way? What's wrong with me? Why am I feeling this way? This shouldn't bother me. But the point of it is, like, it is bothering you. So can you accept that? That's a big part of my healing practice, is helping people first acknowledge and accept what's present, bringing love to it and bringing light. So let's get rid of that belief nothing should ever trigger us. We are not like ascended masters. We're humans. And yes, we're on the spiritual path. We want to grow and evolve. And you'll see that as you continue to grow and evolve, lots of things that used to trigger you won't anymore. I can definitely see that from my own personal experience. So many things that used to trigger me don't, but I still get triggered. And I don't feel any shame to say that. Like, there are still things that trigger me and I'm like, wow, what's going on? This doesn't feel good. Or, what you said like bothered me or made me sad or whatever it is. It's okay. We're human. And so when we have this super high expectation of ourselves that nothing should ever trigger us, it doesn't give us space to just be ourselves and be human. So that's number 2. And if any of these things are resonating for you, I would love for you to type in the comments, this resonates, or I totally understand. Whatever is coming up for you as I'm sharing, please type that in the comments. I would love to hear your feedback. So another one, so number 3, this is number 3 of the list of 7. We are all the same. Just take a moment to feel into that. Maybe connect with your heart, this belief like we are all the same. Is that actually true? Like, maybe, yes, we're all souls, but we're not all the same. We've all had different experiences in our lives, like different upbringings, different family units, different traumas that we've gone through, different joys, different, financial situations, so many things, different privileges, skin colors, body sizes, heights, all these things. We're not all the same. And our experience can be so different based on these factors. And so I think it can diminish our uniqueness and our own individual journeys when people say that we're all the same. I get it. It's coming from a place of love and unity, but I think it can diminish people's actual lived experiences. So that's number 3. We are all the same. Number 4. This one's a really interesting one. I've had some personal experiences with this. And so number 4 of the 7 toxic spiritual beliefs is it's okay to express yourself 100% of the time. I've heard this a lot of times in the spiritual community where people share that they don't want to make themselves small and they want to be able to express themselves out all the time, anytime, authentically. And the thing is that is also a very individualistic viewpoint and slightly selfish in some ways. And sometimes we do need to read the environment and the situation of what's happening around us. So I'll tell you a little story. I was at an event a few months ago in Costa Rica. Really interesting and beautiful evening. It was a bonfire and song circles and all these things. It was really nice. And there was an interaction that happened between this couple in front of everybody. And it was really awkward. Everyone was like, what's going on? It's really awkward. And then we were all silent and everyone's just sitting there kind of like, okay, what to do? And there were like 15 or 20 people there. And we're all in silence. And all of a sudden, one of the women decided to just scream really loudly to let out the energy of that experience, because it had impacted her in a negative way. She felt very awkward. But I'm sitting there and I'm in total like, okay, just like resting. And all of a sudden this person screamed super loud. And I was like, whoa. And my nervous system like I got triggered from that, because it's like, that's shocking to happen all of a sudden. I had no idea it was coming. I'm sure I wasn't the only person. There were probably people who it didn't impact, and it's okay. But the thing is, we don't know what people have been through in their lives and the experiences that they've had and how that can impact somebody's nervous system. And I actually wanted to talk to her about it, and I never got the chance. And I wanted to bring it up in front of everybody, because I don't think it's okay to all of a sudden just scream out of nowhere and then nothing without giving any warning, or maybe potentially going off somewhere else and screaming. The energy behind it, and not necessarily from this person, but sometimes the energy can be like, well, I need it, and that's all that matters. But what about the community and the collective? What about the people around you and how it's going to impact them? There's a balance here, right? It's like, how is my behavior going to impact those around me in a way that's thoughtful and mindful? And then there's also the other side of that. I'm not going to express myself because I don't want to, like you're holding back in some way, in a way that maybe what you could have expressed would have been really beautiful and helpful for everyone. Does that make sense? There's like a balance of finding the way. In that case, it would have really helped me if the woman would have warned us in advance, like saying, I need to scream, or can we all take a moment to do some sounding or something and just let out that experience rather than just screaming out of nowhere. And so that's just one example. And I've had other situations as well, and experiences with friends and people in community where what they're putting out can be very jarring. And when I've tried to speak to them about it, they're like, well, I don't want to ever stop my expression. And so I just feel what I'm trying to share, the point I'm trying to bring home right now is that we are a community and we do impact each other. And so it is important sometimes to be mindful of that and finding that balance of not just like keeping yourself small because of it, So it's that balance. So let me know if this is resonating for you. Feel free to drop in the comments. Let me know who's here with me. I would love to hear from you. Okay, so number 5. This is the next toxic spiritual belief. I'm not making you feel this way. So there's this belief that we can only feel, it's hard to explain in words. No one can make us feel a certain way. It's only based, like I can't word it properly. Like we're responsible for our own feelings. We are fully responsible for the way we feel. So no one else can make us feel a certain way. And this, I've heard people say this before, like, I'm not making you feel that way. You're making yourself feel that way. But there can be a side, which is true. Like people can't really make you feel small unless you allow them to. However, it comes with, in certain situations, the energy that I've seen and witnessed is people gaslighting and not treating somebody else nicely and then saying, oh, what I'm doing, there's nothing wrong with it, but instead it's your fault. And so I feel I've had a few situations where I've been on the receiving end of that. And I was trying to share with somebody, it's really, I don't like the tone that you're speaking to me in. I'm feeling it's very like unpleasant and unkind. And then she was like this, whenever you point your finger at somebody, you're pointing 3 fingers back towards you. And like, that got me really fired up, because I was like, no, that's you basically not taking responsibility for the way you're talking to me and saying that it's all my fault. So this is a really big one, because it's very toxic, I find. And I think it can give people an excuse to treat people however they want and then say, oh, it's your fault based on the way you feel. So let's get that out of here completely. This energy of, I'm not making you feel this way. You're only responsible for the way you feel, and treating people badly while we do it. So this can stop us from connecting to people. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to bring forward this topic today, is that when we are able to instead listen, so for example, in this case, I'm not making you feel this way. It's like, okay, can you share a little bit more with me why you're feeling that way, instead of saying something like that? And then we can connect more deeply with people, and we can bring more love and connection and unity into our society, which I think is the medicine we need more than ever right now in our world. So that's number 5. We've got 2 more of the 7 toxic spiritual beliefs. So then number 6 is ignoring or unvalidating feelings and jumping straight to the spiritual teaching. So there's always a reason why things are happening to us. Our souls have chosen that experience so that we can learn and grow and evolve. And that's beautiful and amazing. And many times it can be extremely challenging as we are getting to that learning and we're moving through the feelings and the emotions that are present. And so I once had this experience where I was sharing with somebody who was holding space for me that I was feeling angry about something. I said, why did this happen? I'm so angry with him right now. And instead of acknowledging and validating my feelings and saying, yeah, I understand that you would feel angry. Let's feel that a little bit. Let's, bring that up and out. She said to me, well, he's only playing the role that he's meant to be playing and triggering you and activating this inside of you so you can learn this about yourself. And I get it. Yes, we can get there to what's the learning and why is this happening. But first, it's really important to validate our feelings and to acknowledge what is our human experience. And so it's really important. Otherwise, again, it's this term of gaslighting, saying that our feelings aren't valid. It's not real. It's not valid. And I think a lot of the reasons why so many of us carry trauma from childhood in particular is because our feelings weren't validated. We weren't validated for who we were, and what was coming up for us wasn't validated, so we squish it down and we squeeze it inside of us and we push it down, and we keep doing that. And I know that as a woman and as a highly sensitive woman and a strong feeler, like this is part of my gift actually, because my intuition works in a way that I feel intuitively. Like I can feel people's energy a lot of times before they are able to feel it in their body. So that is like my superpower, this ability to feel. However, I feel a lot, and also my own emotions on top of that. And I remember the men in my life, like my father and my brother, always telling me, you're too emotional. You're too emotional. You need to be more stable. You need to feel less, especially my dad. You need to feel less. And that doesn't help anyone to hear that. You need to feel less. What matters most, what's the most healing for us is to be validated. And even to find that energy inside of ourselves. How do we validate our own feelings? And that's where the work is right now, is for you to keep doing it or start doing it to validate your own feelings. Okay, however I'm feeling right now is valid. I'm curious if you do that already, or if you push away your emotions and invalidate them. So let me know in the comments. This is something I've had to work on so much, and I notice it's a practice. Every time when things are coming up, it's like, okay, this is how I'm feeling. This is what's present. And that's it. That's all we can do is surrender. We can't try and change it. We just got to be with it. And there's so much healing in that acceptance. Let's take a nice deep breath together. If you want, you can place your hands on your heart. Okay, this is the last one of the 7. So this is a big one in the spiritual community. You should be happy all the time. Have you heard this one before? You should be happy all the time. I know that this is something that many healers and light workers also struggle with sometimes is, I've come this far along the path. I've done all this inner work. I'm helping guide other people, and yet I'm not perfect in this. I'm not happy all the time, or I struggle with this sometimes still. My darlings, we are human. We are human. We go through cycles. And I was thinking about this a lot this morning. We go through cycles every month, all of us, no matter what your gender is, with the moon or with our bleed, if we're women and we have our bleed still, of going through spring, summer, fall, and winter every month, all these 4 energies. And, you know, in fall, for example, that's not my best season energetically because it's like, oh, all this is shedding. And I don't feel that happy sometimes during fall. And I mean in the monthly cycles. And so it's just important to remember, like, you are human. And as a human, we are meant to experience all of it. Joy, happiness, sadness, pain, grief, all the feelings. And as like this word is really big, I guess, today. And what I'm trying to impart to you is like acceptance. Acceptance and surrender of what's here and how you're feeling. And you're not supposed to be happy all the time. So remember that, because it's such a high standard to put on yourself. And what it can do is lead us to bypassing. So when things are coming up that don't feel good for us, we can say, oh, it's fine, I'm happy, everything's good. But really, actually underneath, it is affecting us or impacting us. We can ignore it sometimes. And that's what's called spiritual bypassing. Or just bypassing our emotions in general. Because, oh, I need to be happy. I need to focus on all the positive, be grateful. And that's quite toxic to yourself in the long run. And it's also not real. And it's not authentic. So I encourage you to really feel into that one and see like what kind of expectations you have for yourself in this realm of you should be happy all the time, or you need to be perfect, or whatever it is. I'm curious if that resonates for you. I would love to hear your comments. So let me just review the list. And I'm curious which one is the most potent for you as well of these 7. So number 1, you have to do it all alone. And if you're just joining now, you can go back and watch the beginning of the video to be able to hear the explanations for all of them. So you have to do it all alone. Number 2, nothing should ever trigger you. Number 3, we are all the same. Number 4, it's okay to express yourself 100% of the time. Number 5, I'm not making you feel this way. Number 6, ignoring or unvalidating feelings and jumping to the spiritual teaching right away, or the spiritual learning right away. And number 7, you should be happy all the time. So that's my list of 7 toxic spiritual beliefs. I'm curious if you have more. I would love to keep adding to this conversation. If there are more, please write them in the comments and let me know what other beliefs are out there, because I'm sure there are many more. These are the ones that really jumped out to me that I needed to share about to really help people along your journey right now at this point. And the big part of it is just finding more peace inside of yourself as you accept what's here, what's happening, what's present, surrender to whatever is here for you in the moment. And it helps you also connect to people more authentically by being yourself and being true. People are really drawn to that. And also this feeling of expanded self-love, because when you can accept yourself exactly where you're at, it helps you in so many ways. Again, it's this feeling of just acceptance and surrender, and knowing that when you accept, it helps you move through things much more quickly as well. So I would love to hear your comments, your thoughts. Feel free to send me an email if you'd like. And I just want to share too that I have openings right now in my program, the Healers Academy of Magic. And this program is for highly sensitive women, empaths, lightworkers, and healers who want to expand into their fullest potential. And it's a really transformative experience to help you transmute the pains of the past, expand your intuitive divine gifts, rise into your power, and live your purpose and serve. So it's really comprehensive. It's beautiful. I've seen the women in the program who are in it right now just blossom into themselves and into their gifts and heal in so many ways and expand in so many ways and start to be of service now and really share their gifts with the world. So I would love to help you. please feel free to book or to apply for a discovery call with me and a free mini reading. And the link is in the description to this video if you would like to do that. So I would love to chat with you and connect soon. And I hope that this topic has been really helpful for you today to expand your awareness around these topics, these 7 toxic spiritual beliefs. So thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful to share this with you. And please keep in touch with my offerings. I'm going to be offering many more live videos on YouTube and on Facebook and on Instagram and Insight Timer, and with the intention of helping you grow, of helping you expand your awareness and be on your path, the path that you came here to live. So I'm sending you tons of love, my darlings. Please feel free to connect, and I will see you again soon. Bye.